Thank you, Alan. I wish to thank Alan. It's the 6th year I'm here, as he said, and it's always a pleasure to share. The reason why I started sponsoring with Happy Days this event is that I like the sharing atmosphere, the honesty, and that's a little bit the spirit, the different spirit of this event. So this year again, I'm going to try and tell a bit what I did in the last 12 months on Ottspott. So for those who don't know who is Ottspott, basically it's a phone system that you put on top of G Suite or Slack. So it's instantaneous, you get phone numbers, you can parameter, you don't program, parameter IVRs, and you get a lot of a whole set of features. It's a product which is built on Happy Days, on the Happy Days API, of course. And also the specific thing is all the integrations. We offer some very light programmability with webhooks, but it's not really we'll have to work on the API, but it's really one-click integrations. The reason why when we started building Ottspott, we were still working on Happy Days, so it was like a side thing, although we have all the background from telecom, call centers, and so on. And it was a joke at the beginning, was to add phone conversations for Slack teams. That was the first motivation. And then as we built the product, we said, CPaaS, and for the same for us with Happy Days, does not provide a whole set of things. I think CPaaS is great for programming one targeted thing, but if you get into very complex developments, it can be risky and long. So you have to plug in a lot of other things to get a usable solution. I put most because I think Twilio has some data analytics thing they acquired. So I stole a slide from my friends from VoIP Innovations. But they showed it before me, so it's okay. I agree totally with this slide. I love this slide because we came from systems to APIs. That's where we are. And the trend right now is really to go towards solutions. And so I'll try also to share with you how Ottspott evolved and what we did in the last 12 months. So this is a little reality check. I always finish my presentation at ads with what are we going to do next year. So let's check if the homework was done. So extend availability to G Suite, call widget we talked about, speech analytics, Ottspott Connect, which I'll talk later on, and more exposure on the CPaaS marketplace. This is an important point for us. This is a topic which was discussed a lot last year. When you build an app on a CPaaS, where do you expose it? Okay, apart from selling directly to people. So we saw the showroom, and there are other also channels. So Slack and G Suite, we did it. So now you can use Ottspott on top of Slack and G Suite. So it wasn't there last year. So this is a funny one. Transcription. So that's one of the collaborations with VoIP Innovations, Happy Days. So you can record, you push, I want to record my calls, and you get all the transcription, but separated in two flows. Something we worked a lot on. And of course, transcription is the basis for voice analytics. It's something we didn't yet implement, but you need data, so you can do interesting things. Some are gadgets, and to do it well, you need a lot of data, a lot of time, and a lot of expertise. So, but you can do simple things, and we're working currently on the analytics side. So getting more exposure, I think we got it. Ottspott is classified as in the top 3 communication apps on the Slack directory. So it's good. I think right now we are in the featured apps, which are 12 apps which are featured on Slack. I can say that, maybe they changed this morning, but it's been there like for 2 weeks. And we get this exposure through these different channels, and integrations is one of them. So the Pipedrive Marketplace, the Zendesk, there, although I didn't put in all of them. And we're also very proud because HubSpot handpicked 150 bots, because there is a Slack bot also, and they just wrote to us and said, okay, we picked you in the 150 brilliant bots, and so they listed us on a bot directory that they created like 1 month ago. So I think we will improve, and now we're currently being listed in the showroom, which is really a very tight integration because Ottspott relies on the Happy Days API. But the point I wanted to share today, because I think many tech starting companies, we think product, we think features, we think feasibility. Will I be able to do that? Can I plug that? And it takes time and so on. And I think we did a big mistake at the beginning, but it was not really a mistake because we didn't know where the thing was going, is that we left completely aside all design considerations. So I'll show you later on what we did differently for the Connect and the widget things. And it's very difficult. Once you have product working, changing the design and the usability is something quite risky and complex. So you have the developers will say, I'm a lazy developer, I don't want to move my code. So we found like a little trick. So we didn't move any code, and we really worked with designers to revamp. The initial thing is the ugly one over there, which I presented here during 2 years. And this one is the other one. So basically you have this is the final design. So you have the integrations appearing when there is a contact matching. That's the minimized version. You can just put in this format if nothing happens. And then when there is an incoming call and during the call, that's what they will see. And I will not go through the features because it's usual UCaaS features. The other missing part, I tell this if someone is planning to build great apps with all these great APIs, was also the user experience. For us, okay, we're on top of Slack, you click on the Slack button and you're there. But that's not the reality. People get lost in apps. And we had a lot of drop-off between trials and conversion. And design was really key to that. So this is a screen of an onboarding. So basically now they enter an email, we'll Clearbit that according to the Clearbit profile that Clearbit gives back. So they match, I think, probably with LinkedIn and other databases. We personalize the testimonials. So if you're a CEO, if you're a customer support person, if you're a salesperson, you will get different testimonials here on the right. So you feel more recognized. This, when we worked on that with also some specialists, was a bit of discovery for us. Also removing the complexity, because Ottspott, as we added features, became quite complex. And when people, okay, let's say they register, then they go into a back office and say, where do I start, what do I do, and so on. So we really worked a lot on that. So during the onboarding process, they get an app, it's not an app tour, but yeah, they can see some features of the desktop app. And also we test, they can listen to a message, so they get familiarized with the interface. So with all these mistakes that we did for the classical Ottspott, and last year I promised you that we would work on Ottspott Connect, so I'll tell you what it is. It's currently tested in closed beta, so I cannot give access yet because it's still the beginning. But I'll give it. Okay, so basically, okay, what is the problem with these Ottspott-like solutions? The problem is that you have to move your numbers or to get your numbers, which is a good problem, for instance, for VoIP innovation, but you have to move the numbers to Ottspott. And a lot of people don't want to move the numbers. There's another thing also, is that a lot of people have already a phone system. a carrier, and so on. So that's the thing we worked on, was to say, okay, let's give, so it's no telecom, it's really web, so it's a Chrome CDI extension. And basically, what do you do? People love integrations. That's why they like Ottspott, because in one click they integrate Salesforce or multiple sources with our telephony system, which is Ottspott. But here it's like we really focus on the user, on the agent, and we wanted to give like a maximum information. But basically, you don't enter through Slack. You enter through, for instance, let's say Salesforce or Pipedrive, and then you match your Pipedrive users with the phone system extensions that you have on the other side. So it's a lot of work. So the beta currently we have is running with the Pipedrive and the French cloud provider, which is very popular, called OVH. But basically the idea is there. I have Pipedrive, I register, I match with my phone system, and I have this call with it. And I'm not, as Ottspott, managing any lines and billing no voice costs. So, okay, so meaning you have, like, for instance, here on the top the origin of the contact from Pipedrive. You can see if he's a customer on which billing plan, because it's an integration with Stripe. So we ping all the APIs and we push maximum information. You have information from the company. You can also clearbit that with the API. So it's like populating the whole thing. And of course, we work the user friendliness from day one. It's a one-stop widget because with this extension, they can do almost anything. Receive the call, identify the caller, like see the information, the contextual information, but they can also like create in their, like in Salesforce or Pipedrive in this case, they can create like their top actions, like create a lead, close a lead, or whatever. So it's also customized towards the integration. And they can search, of course, their contacts, which is good for an agent having like an old school phone, because he has an old phone system. Like we upgrade the phone system and we leave them with their carrier. The other thing we did since last year was the call widget. We had an old-fashioned widget for call which was not integrated, and basically you get a button, a call button on a website. So it's always only the code that you generate in the back office when entering your settings. Everything is very like intuitive. And you get two things. You can do multiple configurations of the widget. One, you can say it's just for calling through, or people can also say, I don't want to call, I want to leave a message. So it's interesting for people because it's anonymous, so they don't have to leave their phone number. But at the same time, we can do some interesting things. On the other side, on the agent side, so if I'm going to call, if I enter my phone number also or my email, I will be like matched towards, for instance, an integration. That's what the agent will see, for instance, in Slack. You have either Slack or the desktop app. So when he pushes the button, he knows there are two open tickets. And again, it's always the logic of like not switching interfaces, but staying in the same interface. You can, if you answer a call with Slack, then you'll have all this information and you know beforehand, before answering to the phone. Sorry. Okay, so after this, what's next? What can we do next? It's going on. We have much more focus now really in doing integration. So basically our strategy is simple, is like add integration. So we're adding Freshdesk, Zoho, and so on, because that's what people capture. We worked a lot on analytics also. Didn't show there, but our statistics were really very like bad and very small. So we really did a true work like on having live statistics, deeper statistics, and yeah, and we keep in mind this thing about AI, not EA, which is French, AI. But it's a difficult subject. It's something we worked on the last like 6 months, but we came to the conclusion that we could like lose a lot of energy in that. So we're still seeing what you can do. I heard interesting things here today, like okay, sentiment analysis and things that are around, but are they reliable? Will a customer value that and pay for that? You can be completely ridiculous if you get it wrong. So it's like, if we do something, it will be in alpha version. Okay, so the other, of course, is getting more customers, more channels, and it's not always an easy thing. Fortunately, we don't compete with brilliant companies like Talkdesk, which are in another world. There is space, and we see that although we started this like over 2 years ago, people's mentality is still like, at least here in Europe, is still a lot on either on-premise or old things or tied to the carrier or whatever. So it's not easy to change mentalities. I mean, when people discover the product, say, "Oh, that's great! I didn't know I could do that." And yeah, so basically, it's finding business problems and giving like a technical solution, but also a nice and designed solution. This was our worry, and this, I think, was the mistakes we did from the beginning, which now probably will do other mistakes, but not these ones. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lewis. Any questions for Lewis? I know you mentioned one of Dean's favorite words, design, but I'll move to James. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Mark.
Thanks, Lewis. You mentioned the stuff that you are currently beta testing but can't give out, just being an over-the-top solution rather than having to sort of port numbers across or to use specific numbers. Is that because it's literally you can plug your own SIP trunks and things in, or is it just literally just a pure web play?
It's a web thing. It's just a web thing. So the work we do is like, we need an API or some kind of API on the phone system side. Right. The integrations we have already.
So if there's a CPaaS on the other side, we could plug it in and...
Right.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's one of the things, there are some complexities, and we'll go into detail, but the idea here is to really like mix everything, and from the beginning, it's a pain to say to someone, okay, you like the solution, you have to move all your numbers and all your stuff here, because a lot of people don't want to, that's what we notice. Or saying, I have like a super call plans, you know, in Europe that calls are, not like in the US, are still quite expensive. So they spend a lot of money in minutes, especially in France. So they say it's great, but I don't want. I want my special deal I have like for 5 years with my carrier. I want to keep it. So it's difficult like to move people, and also it blocked for us the access to larger customers. We had like huge leads, but impossible. Like they wouldn't like move their.
You're not going to port for one little feature. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
And just sticking with the Connect thing, how do you monetize that? So it's clear how you monetize the application where it's sitting on the VoIP Innovations platform and you're selling access to DDIs and calls or whatever, or embeds. How are you going to monetize the Connect product?
Currently it's free because it's in closed beta, but we have. I mean, pricing I have no really answer. It will be priced on a monthly and per user, so it's SaaS based, but it's not as complete as like the classical Ottspott, so probably the price will be lower. It's more like an add-on, you know, like, so okay, I have my phone system, I pay already my phone system, I pay my minutes, I pay my software Salesforce licenses, and I just need something in the middle to have a more modern, like, and more productive environment for my agents.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Corrals, if you can get yourself set up. Where is he? Oh, there you go. Because I think what Lewis is highlighting is the importance of design. And one of the things that I've been seeing in something as innocuous as UCaaS management consoles, it's actually become a selling tool. Because the person setting up the numbers, doing the configuration, can then, oh, they've got a CSaaS feature. It could be just for remote workers in enabling sort of people that are part-time to provide additional support. It could be, and they supply numbers in Romania or other places. So from using one app, they're able. Can I ask something? Yes, go for it.
I think okay, maybe we'll discuss after, but as Ottspott, we saw like, for instance, Twilio, and I know But like what they did with Flex for me was like, okay, it's almost programmable SaaS. It's not anymore programmable API. It's like, okay, you get like 70% of like the standard features, and then you can integrate. You can. Okay, I didn't see the product, and it's quite expensive.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
there's some.
But it is interesting. It is.
It is interesting.
You know, because as a system integrator now,
Yeah.
rather than spending a year, you can do something in a couple of months.
Right.